So what we're going to talk about here today is a couple of articles that I saw wrapped together that taken together is a little bit kind of creepy to me. And that's kind of the title of this, The End of Independent Media, which there's a few different laws in place to prevent big corporations from overriding and basically destroying, annihilating thoroughly the little guys. And several of those checks and balances are in the process right now of being wiped out by the FCC. Interesting. I haven't seen anybody put anything together yet. All right, but anyway, what we're going to talk about here today, I have two articles under, I just didn't know what else to call it, so I simply called it scary. I have 4 articles on business, I have several on tech, and we're going to end up with several articles on Amazon. Amazon's up to some weirdness this week. All right, so the first article I want to talk about here, just some things to keep in mind, particularly if you're up here. I think this was in Minnesota or Wisconsin, I forget where. Thank you. Yeah, once I start reading, you want to do a bunch of stuff. Great, thanks. Bad website design, people. Don't do that. All right, so apparently a bunch of people have been putting skimmers on ATMs again, always. Make sure that, and of course some of the articles and suggestions are, use the same ATMs and be aware of what they look like and, keep an eye out for things like skimmers. But basically, there's been a ring of people believed doing this. And, a suspect believed to have placed skimmers wears a mask to conceal his identity. That's not a mask. That's something out of a terror show. But anyway, so be aware of skimmers. And I forget which state this was. Several, Dakota counties, anyway, there were several skimmers found in this one small region, and so it was something to keep an eye on. The next one is, of course, be aware, particularly if you're over there in the Russian and Ukrainian type countries, there is the bad rabbit's been breeding in y'all them there servers and is getting in the way. There is this new crypto virus that there's at the time I read the article, it's unknown what happens if you actually pay these guys, but you'll get this black and reddish orange screen here. It's like, hey, send us $250 in Bitcoin or you can kiss your data goodbye. And if you don't respond to them in 40 hours from seeing this, then they say the price is going to go up. So just be aware and, good practices. Keep your important data off the internet, folks. Keep it off the internet. Don't put it on internet-connected devices. Don't attach an internet-connected NAS drive and say, I have everything on a NAS drive. That's hackable. But you know what's not hackable? This hard drive. It is not connected to the internet. Of course, it is for the short periods of time that I'm actually working on things, but I'm pretty sure I'm safe on those short period of times, and then I make sure I have backups even of that. And so keep an eye on that. There are some in crypto stuff going back and forth, and you just got to be aware of that. All right, so on to our title article. So why do I say this is the end of independent media? Of course, we've all been fighting over this. Those of us on YouTube, if you've been following my channel, my poor little kitty video got demonetized. That was merely a monetization test because every video I've been putting up has been demonetized. And then I'll fight it, and it'll usually get remonetized, but it's right after that period of time. If you look at my analytics, right after the video stops being popular and stopped being viewed, that's about the time monetization turns on. So thanks, YouTube. I appreciate the pay cut. That apparently has nothing more to do than you wanting to save money, because I cannot see what is so offensive about a video with cats with nearly no words and just little music that I downloaded from your own website specifically to put on videos. But anyway, obviously we know about that. We know about the fight with fake news, which apparently fake news is merely defined as anything that's not mainstream news media seems to be lumped under that whole groupage of fake news. And so, really that's that first thing. But what is it that keeps the news systems in balance? Why is it if you go back into the 80s and you look at how many media companies there were about 50 different media companies that owned all of these different things. So you had all these different media companies, And in light of that, right now, I think the number is 6. It's either 6 or it's 8. So all of these companies have been bought and sold, and this is consolidation's been going around. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where every business in the history of the world is going to be owned by one company. And that's going to be creepy and scary. Now, what happens is, what is it that prevents that from happening? Well, there's 2 primary rules in place. One of those is that for a radio station to operate, so I know radios are barely even listened to anymore, but for those that still do listen to radios, for a radio station to operate in any given jurisdiction, they have to have a studio in that jurisdiction or some type of office, something there to serve the community from that local office. Of course, as you imagine, that gets in the way of that gets in the way, and what you end up happening is it becomes harder to expand into new markets. And so that is really the thing that prevents a corporation from taking over the airwaves entirely with spamming all the airwaves with all their own things. It's because to have a radio station, you have to have a presence in the local jurisdiction. That applies to TV and radio. Yeah, Republicans just eliminated that rule, so now it's easier for the big conglomerates to simply kill everyone else in the industry. And so what's going to happen is, rather than the smaller startup stations or the smaller startup radios or the smaller startup TV stations, now the big corporations that have a lot of the fighting power, the control power, and the money power, whether they're doing it legally or through bribing or whatever else, whether you have all of those going on or not, what tends to happen is now this breaks down, and so some corporation over in LA that doesn't have to expand the regional office can now open up a TV and or radio station in my town, and if they start taking their money and investing in that all out, utilizing an internet marketing system, they can essentially take over the airwaves. So what we're going to start seeing is the one area we still have some small semblance of independence is in the area of having the TV and the radio stations, because each jurisdiction has to have the corporation or the company would have to have an office in that town. No more. You don't have to do that anymore. So now it's getting to the point to where one major system can override it for everybody. And this is a horrible, 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 horrible thing. This is that thing that keeps monopolies from taking over. This is why we have multiple different TV stations. This will consolidate everything back down a little bit more. All right. And so this was essentially just FCC again, 3-2 vote. Everything's going to be this 3-2 vote, 3-2 vote, 3-2 vote. And basically it's going to completely destroy the small independent media outlets. So Pi, yeah, you know that there's a brilliant statement coming. No local studio is needed to produce news. That's a scary thought. So all of our local news is going to be handled by who? Somebody who's unaware of our area? I mean, I remember the high school I went to, was it the year after I graduated, I think, we had a school shooting. And it was actually the very first time, it predated Columbine, it was the very first time we had, I think it was the very first time a school shooting made national coverage. So we had corporate roamers from CNN and Fox News and ABC and NBC roaming through there, and it was the first time there was all of this national coverage, and you had a whole bunch of people that didn't know anything about the town really reporting news that really wasn't reported well because nobody knew about the town, and that's the problem we're going to get. And so here, this rule was adopted nearly 80 years ago, so we have to get rid of it. It's just old. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Let's get rid of murder. It was instituted in the Bible. I mean, so to facilitate input from community members and the station's participation in community activities, yeah, that's what we need. Okay, because if you've ever been a part of a small business community, and I have been part of them, I've been operating my own independent small business for 7 years now. You know, you get involved in the community. You sponsor the local community events. You help out. You help with the annual trash cleanup. You know, you do all these types of things, and that's the important part, because what's going to happen is all these big corporate hacks are going to take control of all of the systems. There's no local system, and then there is no representative of that corporation among the community that's being served, and it just becomes this giant nightmare with one big corporate hack. I don't care about the trash and all these communities we have because I'm floating on my yacht in the middle of the Atlantic. Who do I care? You know, and that's what's going to end up happening here in this respect. And so basically, getting rid of the rule will help broadcasters serve viewers and listeners, especially those in small towns and rural areas where the cost of compliance dissuades broadcasters from even launching stations. No, what it does is it empowers the people in that community to do something for that service. Okay, this is destructive to small businesses. This is a huge pro-corporate cash grab, and this is absolutely destructive to the small businesses. But wait, there's more! Because one of the other checks and balances that we have in the media system is that there is a rule that a company cannot own. In fact, if you even remember, if anybody's familiar with Weird Al. Weird Al, of course, did a movie back in the, was it 80s, I think, late 80s, called UHF. It might have been early 90s, but it was called UHF. And with UHF, what happened there is, you know, if you remember that you know, he inherited this station from his uncle or whatever, and then the big Channel 8 News wants to come in, and they're going to buy it, and he says, it's illegal to own two different stations. Oh, that's right, I'll have to turn this one into a parking lot, is a line from that movie. And that's one of those checks and balances, is that one company cannot own multiple different media outlets. They're limited to either the newspaper or the radio or the TV or whatever else, but you can't have overall control, because the reality is you would control that. They're just going to get rid of that one now too. And so now, again, those big corporate guys that have the ability to weed out the small players, just steamrolling them in competition. I mean, this is like Hulk Hogan going against Pee Wee Herman in a wrestling rink, okay? I mean, and those are just the two most ridiculous characters I could think of. Maybe Mike Tyson versus Mac, if you get that reference. And, you know, there's just no competition. No competition. And so now, those same corporate guys, in addition to not having to be able to have any presence in the community they're serving, they're not serving nothing. They're extracting every bit that they can out of the place, sucking the life out of the place, and they don't give a crap. And that's a challenge. And so what's happens now is that now they can own as many things in the area. So they're killing another form of competition. Can we just get rid of this guy now? So yeah, they want to get rid of this. So this is a part of a larger overhaul of media ownership's rule announced. Currently, its newspaper broadcast station cross-ownership rule prohibits common ownership of daily newspaper and a full-power broadcast station, AM, FM, or TV, if the station service contour encompasses the newspaper's city of publication. Oh, we need to get rid of that. It's too restrictive. No, it's called helping with competition. But they don't want that. It will not surprise me if by the end of the Trump administration, what we start to see is we just see, like, the end of this administration, we're going to see, like, one company owning the whole world. I mean, it's getting creepy. It's getting bad. It's getting bad. This is scary stuff, folks. This is absolutely horrible, and we are going to start seeing the destruction of small things. And what happens to jobs? If one corporation in Los Angeles can now run TV and radio stations in the whole country without setting up an office, who's working in all of those? That's okay. McDonald's is always hiring. And thus I say, this is the end of the independent media. They're killing us on the internet, branding us as fake news. Some groups are just trying to block everything that whatever the establishment doesn't say isn't true. That's all just fake. And now we're getting rid of the rules that puts local people and local workers in the local community to serve the media needs in the United States. Don't worry, they'll regulate themselves, just like Equifax and Wells Fargo. It's all good. It's all good. So if you remember this one, the California attempted to have its own little privacy rule. Well, it turns out the Electronic Frontier Foundation found that there are a whole lot of intriguing little backdoor deals that kind of is what put an end to this thing, because basically what they said is if you guys allow this privacy rule, then terrorists will be using your servers to kill people. I mean, literally, they went there. This is like we got to stop the terrorists is now becoming synonymous with it's for the children. I mean, that's kind of what's happening. So basically, there were a whole lot of backdoor deals with lobbyists for the media group. Of course, who is it that really liked this? Oh yeah, no, broadband protectors don't help terrorists and Nazis. All right, but basically, who was happy about all this? Well. Oh, here's the great fake pop-up scare. No, on AB 375. AB 375 exposes you to pop-ups and hackers. It desensitizes consumers to online privacy risks, leaving us all more vulnerable to cyber attack. Protect online safety. Call your legislator and tell them no on AB 375. And of course, we have a child. See, we should have had a child in a suicide vest. I mean, come on! That's what you need to do for this. Now, there goes my monetization on this video. But the reality is, these guys were doing a lot of fear-mongering. Literally, we're going to collect and store your private browsing data to sell to other people, and this somehow makes... it doesn't even make sense. Desensitizes... No, you know what desensitizes consumers to online privacy risks? Collecting and storing their data. That's what desensitizes them to online privacy risks. All right, so that's kind of what we have there. So, yeah, have a look at this article from EFF. Basically all the ways that the lobbyists basically lied through their teeth about what this bills were going to do. And if you notice lately, all of the bills that are passing or failing do the exact opposite of they are promoted by the lobbyist groups to do the exact opposite of what they actually do. This is why we need to completely ban lobbyists and completely set term limits. We need to get people with functioning brains who have actually lived in society into office. And with all of these incumbent life career congressmen and senators, we don't got it. We haven't had fresh blood in Washington for a long time, and we got to get some fresh blood over there. Maybe somebody that's got a pulse and a functioning brain cell or two rubbing together. Oh boy. Well, this was a fun article. I want to talk about this one because obviously I'm being hit and numerous people in this community are being hit by the demonetization stuff. This, of course, has more to do with the PragerU sues YouTube, says it censors conservative videos because of the restricted mode filtering, violates free speech rights. I'm going to say this. YouTube itself is its own business. It can do what it wants. Now, it needs to have some degree of accountability and some degree of integrity. That's what my argument is. Tell us what your rules are, publish them so we understand them, and then act accordingly. And I think that that is something you should bind them to the law. Okay? But I got news for PragerU. You need to fire your lawyer and get a new one because he's advised you incorrectly. Here's why. You do not have free speech rights against a company. The free speech, the Constitution, the data collection, etc., 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 is the constitutional rights between you, the citizen, and the government of your country. Has nothing to do with third parties. This is why PRISM is so bad, but Google sweeping up everything that you have is not actually a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal to me, and it's a big deal. It should be a big deal to anybody, but it's not legally a big deal. I think we need to put laws in place to make it a big deal, but currently, the Constitution, the right to privacy, the free speech, these are not anything that has to do with us relating to another company. These are things related to us and the government. So PragerU, fire your lawyer. You've gotten bad advice. You're going to lose the case. I think that's all I really want to say about that one for now. As much as I mean, I hate to say it because I think YouTube needs to do a better job, for sure. YouTube could potentially get sued for what they're doing, for sure. But it has nothing to do with violating free speech because it's a private company. They don't have, there's no accountability with free speech. That's not what the Constitution guarantees you. You are guaranteed a freedom of speech in terms of where the government goes, okay? That's where you're guaranteed freedom of speech. So, yeah, you've had bad legal advice. All right, so some things to look into at the Pixel. Apparently, the Pixel 2 XL has been having some issues, so if you're thinking about buying one of these, you might want to hold off for a while. One thing that's going on is their OLED screens are burning in. Now, they say that some degree of burn-in is to be expected, and so, sure, maybe that's true. However, the burn-in is happening in less than a week or two. And so they're saying that's a problem. They're going to try and fix that with some software. There's also some audio issues, some tinkering, or some ticking, sizzling, whatever else. So you got to watch out with that. So if you are looking at the Pixel 2 XL, you might want to put that on the back burner, see how it goes. Now that doesn't mean don't buy it at all. Even I bought the Nexus 5X, which does have a potential for having a hardware issue. I weighed the costs and said, okay, I think I'm good with the hardware issue. I think that's something I can deal with. So of course that's there. This is this is actually looking at the screen burn-in. So if you load up like a gray image, you can see what the screen burn-in here looks like. Basically, you'll see the buttons burned into the panel. So you can open these thumbnails up, and that will check it. And what can you do about it? Just accept the updates you're going to get. That's kind of what they're wanting to do with that. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about, this is bad news for anybody who is using Facebook as a small business to try and market some things. Basically, what Facebook is now doing, and they're experimenting with this in a few third world, I don't think it's third world, just other countries, not United States. Some of those smaller countries, I think Sri Lanka was on the list. Sri Lanka, Slovakia, and Serbia. So basically what they're doing is any pages. So you have your Facebook personal pages for all the people, and then you have pages what businesses use. And then, of course, people can like pages. Now, if a page currently, if somebody updates something on a page, that page should, in theory, appear in the news feed for anybody who has liked that page. What Facebook is doing now is separating that out into a separate feed so that what a user is only going to see on their Facebook feed without intentionally going into a second stream with all those pages is they're going to see just their friends and any paid posts. Basically, translation, if you like to be seen by your people in Facebook, you will now have to pay Facebook to get your post into the paid tier to actually appear. So they're splitting the tiers apart. This is absolutely horrible, wretched garbage for Facebook to do because a lot of small businesses, like one of the businesses I'm working with right now, and we're working with building up their site traffic, I can see that every day they have a Facebook post, their website analytics is spiking. And so I've said, make sure you get a post each day, and that should keep your page count routinely high, and then that way you should be able to get more people onto the site. The challenge is that for any small business that does that, and I believe my brother with the game that we have built, that I also work on, he does most of his marketing. I think he almost does 100% of his marketing on Facebook right now. I don't know. I don't deal with any of that stuff. But I know a lot of my businesses that I consult with, almost all their revenues is, all of their interaction is coming from their work on Facebook. And now Facebook is looking at completely pulling this out unless you pay them. You pay Facebook, awesome. You pay Facebook and great. You can now have the ability to have your news feed show up. But you get the other, the other end. Facebook's going to become completely useless for you unless you pay them money. So, well done, Facebook. You have gotten the whole world addicted to your crappy platform, and now you're just going to be extracting all the money from the business people who actually want to use it the way you've advertised it should be used. Good job, Facebook. iPhone news. Oh, God. So apparently the iPhone went on pre-order today, and they ran out within 10 minutes. As predicted, they put out the iPhone 8. It had dismal sales, all to push it. And I really am believing with the conspiracy theorists. Where's my hat? I'm really believing with the conspiracy theorists that they put out the 8 simply so they could cause the hype with the 10 and jack that price up and get your average consumer paying more than $1,000 for a crappy phone. So the pre-order came up, and to my understanding is they sold out of pre-orders in 10 minutes, is my understanding. And I'm just like, why, people? Did you not understand that this phone is stupid? Oh, well. All right, this is a fun one. So you remember a couple weeks back when Verizon all of a sudden just nobody on the unlimited data, it's supposed to be unlimited data plans. People on unlimited data plans couldn't stream video in HD anymore. It limited it down to 720p. And they're like, yeah, we're just doing this everywhere. You can get that now back for $10 a month per line. Way to go, Verizon. You have now joined the scumbag business of the day. I should come up with a segment of the show. Should I come up with a segment of the show? The scumbag business of the day. Kind of like Philip DeFranco's douchebag of the day. I don't know. I don't know. What should we do? What should we do? But yeah, now if you have the already superly expensive unlimited plan, you can pay an extra $10 per line, so now you can watch your video in 1080p. Or actually 4K if your device supports 4K. So keep an eye on that. If you're on Verizon and you're sick of being able to only catch the streams in 720p, you can just pay them that extra $10 per month. Thinking of just going to like stupid classic flip phones on prepaid cards. I don't know. And, of course, what would be a news show about technology without the FBI griping because we couldn't unlock 7,000 devices because of encryption. Encryption's bad. We want a backdoor into encryption. If you didn't catch my video from yesterday, I tell you how to encrypt your drives. But the reality is that we have to have strong encryption. And yeah, you look at what the government's doing with all the payoffs that they're accepting and bribes that they're accepting, the fact they don't have term limits and they have seemingly incompetent people in the office. You really want these people to have the backdoor key access into the thing? Oh, that thing will be on the black market before they actually take receipt of it. It'll be co-opted on the Silk Road version 3.2 before the FBI even gets a handle on it. And then now everybody will have their phone backed into, and then they're going to take that key, implement it into every bit of malware, and then all of a sudden, one day, everybody's iPhones are just going to be crypto-locked because they have a backdoor key. I know that's a far-fetched scenario, but, I liked one guy's argument. If the guy is alive, use a warrant, compel the password. If he doesn't comply, we can figure that out. Hold him for a while, whatever else. Do real police work. I mean, if you watch how the Silk Road was taken down, how did they take down the Silk Road, which was on a server, I think in Iceland maybe, on a Tor network, being run by a guy they couldn't figure out? How'd they take him down? Simple. Police work. Police work. That's what they did. They infiltrated his network. They got chats. They figured out who he was. They found there was a bug that leaked to the IP. They found the server logs. They figured out who the guy was, who the Dread Pirate Roberts was. They monitored the guy they thought he was, and they took him down in a library. Good old-fashioned police work. Okay? If you do not have the information against the person because you can't unlock their phone, you don't have a strong enough case. And if they're dead, it shouldn't matter. Sure, maybe we need to know who his associates were. Well, you already have access to his phone logs. You can get that without breaking the encryption. There's no reason that we need to weaken encryption so these guys can get into these phones. This is yet another ploy. They've been doing this. They have been probing and probing and probing against strong encryption for a long time now. They are trying to break strong encryption, which, by the way, there was at some point in time some rules against having strong encryption. But it ended up causing a disaster of things, and so they started to allow strong encryption on things. And now they're just trying to use thing after thing. Here's my prediction. This missing hard drive from the Las Vegas shooter is going to show up somewhere encrypted. And we have to get into this so we can figure out his motive. I guarantee that's going to happen. I mean, I'm not going to be a prophet. I'm going to say, no, chances are high that's going to happen. Okay? Because they've been making this whole big deal. This hard drive's missing. Where's this hard drive? I bet they're going to find it. It's going to be encrypted, and that's going to be yet another thing they use. They're using this. They're using that. They're using that case in Philadelphia where they've been holding this guy for 2 years now because he won't unlock a drive without charging him with anything. He's not charged. He's just in jail because he refuses to unlock it. You either have the evidence to convict or you let the guy go. Watch him. If you think that he's really addicted to the things you think he's on, then monitor that bad boy and catch him in the act, like they did to Dread Private Roberts. You know? There's no reason we need to weaken encryption, and definitely no reason we need to give that to the government because they have demonstrated that they're probably not strong enough to competently hold such a thing. There's some good news, though. There's some good news. Department of Justice changed the gag order policies, so Microsoft drops the lawsuit. So if you haven't been following this, Microsoft had a lawsuit against Department of Justice, and what their lawsuit said is, we want to be able to tell people when there is a request to view somebody's data, because what's been happening is the governments have been putting down a gag order preventing the big data collection, data scooping tech companies from sharing with the end user. So what Microsoft wants to be done is, unless they've determined, like, this is a major terror plot, I still think that's okay for a short period of time, withhold the information. But what Microsoft and Google and all these other companies want is, if the government says we want all the information on this user, then the tech company, Microsoft in this case, wants to turn around and immediately tell the user that the government is asking for their information. And I think that that's only fair, because if you come in here on a search warrant, I pretty much know you have a search warrant. So if you want to execute a search warrant on my data, I should know about it. And that's what Microsoft wants. And they end up getting that. So you can read this article and get all the details. Pretty much, this is a good thing. This is good news. Of course, back to bad news. Equifax was warned by security researchers over a year ago about a serious flaw, basically the same thing that was done, and they didn't do anything about it. They're just like, we don't care. We got our yachts. Our credit card history's not in there. We've made sure of that. So when it gets all stolen, we don't care. 3 articles on Amazon. All right, so first, just because Facebook did it this week, Amazon's like, I want it too. So now you can go through the Amazon app and you can now order your takeout at some select restaurants. I don't think Facebook's actually delivers now. Oh, the cat got cute all of a sudden. I think Facebook will deliver, but now Amazon app will allow you to place takeouts. This is scary. This Amazon app, by the way, is a scary thing. If you have the Amazon app on your phone, delete it. You can use most of these functions just on the regular website on the phone. But at the same token, though, you can now use your Amazon app that you can purchase your takeout. Now, introducing Amazon Key exclusively for Prime members, because we think you're the dumbest of all. No, that's not what they're saying. But basically, Amazon Key, remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago with Walmart? Walmart wants to give your employees access to your house so they can drop off packages. That's all I need is Walmart employees having. Actually, I think in all fairness, I think it's an externally contracted delivery service. Well, Amazon and Walmart have been fighting it out, duking it out left and right. And so Amazon's like, I'm going to one-up you, Walmart. We're going to sell the package to allow this all to happen. And we're going to start it soon. So now with Amazon Key, you can purchase this horrible device for, I think it's like $250. You purchase your Amazon kit. It comes with a camera, creepy, and a smart lock. So then what happens is when the guy comes to your door with your package and you're not there, you'll get confirmation. The video will turn on, and then they'll see that they'll open up the door, and then they'll slide the package in. And then what they'll probably do next is take a piece of paper, because, you know, newspaper folded several times can hold 1,000 pounds of weight. They'll slide that in your door, and your door will close, and it'll be like, your door closed. And then the camera will shut off, and now they'll go back to their truck for about, 10 minutes, have a smoke break, and then they'll come in and just kind of push their way right in your front door again because, they kind of kept it from locking. Now, I don't know, it might detect if it closes automatically, but regardless, do you really want these delivery people having access to, let your pets out or whatever else they can possibly do? It's like Amazon Prime. Somebody left this as a comment. It was a beautiful comment. They said, Amazon, my cat is gone and my Xbox is gone. I would like to cancel. So yeah, Amazon is now introducing Amazon Key. So, no more hiding key. Did anybody ever hide a key under their mat for the purpose of letting the people in? I don't know. So anyway, you can now have the smart lock, because we all know that smart locks are perfect technology, completely unhackable, totally safe, and allows you to open up your front door from a smartphone. I mean, come on. So there you go. I think, like I said, I think it costs $250 to get the combo, which comes with your app-enabled theft device, i.e. the smart lock, and then the camera, so you can see the schmuck that's stealing all your stuff. Of course, the delivery guy is going to come in with a mask over, so yeah, you can see he came in there, but he knew the camera was there, so what's the big deal? Oh boy, that's so wonderful. And now, would you buy an LG phone for $50 off if every single time it closed, you would see ads on your phone? Now, I'm curious if this is an unlocked phone with an unlocked bootloader, so I can pay $50 less for the phone, wipe the stupid custom ROM you've put on there, and put my own thing on there. If that's an option, I'm all for this. I don't know. They didn't say in the article. But, of course, this is some type of customized LG ROM that is going to enable Amazon. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a locked bootloader, so you can't do much with it. That's my guess, but I wasn't able to find any information. So, basically, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get $50 off one of the new LG smartphones, but on the locking screen, it serves ads to you. All right, so that is this edition of the news. It's getting scary out there, folks. It's getting scary. Well, if you would like to help support what we are doing, you can check out switchtolinux.com/support. At the time of this video, we have Patreon, we have direct PayPal links on our website and on the YouTube channel, and we also have Amazon links down below if you want to buy something on Amazon. I know I've talked some bad stuff about Amazon, but I actually do still use them. They're just a little crazy every now and again. But that's quite okay. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.